Hey folks, Lauren Shippen here, creative director of Atypical Artists, and I've got a new fiction podcast recommendation for you. Hit Singles is a romantic comedy about chosen families, falling in love when you least expect it, and the way the right song can change your life forever. It follows Faith Adler, a DJ who comes to New York City for the summer. The last thing she wants to do is fall in love, but she meets a young bartender called David, and soon the two of them are in a strange, ambiguous, but very exciting situationship. The series is not just narrated by Faith, but actually remixed by her, giving each episode a playful, constantly shifting presentation. And let me tell you, this show is so good. It's a love letter to music and to love itself, and it has me swooning and laughing every episode. Plus, it's created by dear friends of Atypical, Gabrielle Urbina, Zach Valenti, and Sarah Shackett, with writing from Life with Leo and the AM Archive's very own Octavia Bray. And it stars Briggan Snow, voice of Caleb in The Bright Sessions and creator of Look Up, the best team one could ever dream of. The show is 12 episodes running a little over 6 hours, and it's all now available on Audible. Find it by searching for Hit Singles on Audible or simply going to www.hitsingles.show.
Hello, Riverdalians. I'm Cher McAnelly, producer, professional Tumblr user, and weird weirdo who's weird.
And I'm Lauren Shippen, professional writer who has never experienced the epic highs and lows of high school football.
And this is Dashboard Diaries, a podcast for you, the folks who are in this internet bunker with us and who are not in the stands at the football game, experiencing those epic highs and lows.
So true.
We talk about what's going on our favorite hell site, get into what we like to call Tumblr lore, do fandom deep dives, and share the times when we've gone feral over a new ship. So to start out this week, Lauren, what do you have in your archives for us for our little dashboard confessional?
I've got a little fun sort of like 10-year remembrance, 20-year remembrance kind of a flashback. So I pulled up a post from April of 2015, so 10 years ago was the last time I reblogged this. And I'm not going to read the whole post because it's incredibly long. But basically, it's an anonymous asker asking Tumblr user Apriki, what's your opinion on the 2005 PNP? PNP, of course, being an abbreviation for Pride and Prejudice. The 2005 Pride and Prejudice being, of course, the Joe Wright-directed, Keira Knightley, Matthew McFadden film. And it is an exceptionally long post that begins with, fuck this movie, I hate this movie, there's so much whack shit in this film. And then it just goes on to bullet point, like, all of the amazing stuff about 2005 Pride and Prejudice, with obviously their initial evaluation of fuck this movie, I hate this movie being hyperbolic. They clearly love this movie deeply. And I chose this post both because, like, yeah, it's been 10 years since I reblogged it and I'm still constantly thinking about Pride and Prejudice, but also it's been now 20 years since the film came out.
Oh my
and
gosh.
There was this wonderful New York Times article that I'll be sure to post on dashboarddiaries.tumblr.com about specifically the hand flex moment. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, yes, it is. I think takes up a percentage of my brain. I had a conversation about the hand flex this weekend with someone. It is
incredible. So there is an homage to the hand flex in the New York Times from last week.
Incredible. The impact.
Talking about the impact, talking about how there's like merch of the hand flex, how there's like, you know, if you say hand flex to anybody who's seen this movie, they know exactly what you're talking about. And so, yeah, I just really wanted to celebrate 20 years of this like quite literally perfect film that I have seen so many times and that I think is so iconic and that I'm very curious to see. Because I'm a 2005 Pride and Prejudice girly, right? Like, I was 14 when it came out. I saw it in theaters. It changed my brain chemistry forever. And then I, sort of burned through all of Jane Austen's novels as like in early high school and eventually saw the, BBC miniseries that was made in the, late 80s, early 90s of Pride and Prejudice. That's like a couple of episodes, several hours long. And it's really interesting because like the people who are like the BBC miniseries devotees kind of like, a lot of them turned up their noses at the 2005 Joe Wright film when it came out because it's like, this is not our Mr. Darcy. This is not our Pride and Prejudice. And I remember being so like, oh man, like, why can't you just appreciate, like, this movie is so good. Like, just appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
But now Netflix has announced that they're doing a miniseries of Pride and Prejudice. And I'm like, this isn't my Pride and Prejudice. This isn't Joe Wright. This isn't Keira Knightley. Like, And so I'm curious if like Gen Z is going to embrace the Netflix miniseries in the same way that we embrace the 2005 movie and kind of like reject. I'm just very kind of curious to see like what translates from one generation to the next and what kind of becomes like the generational touchstone for like, you know, all of these people. What is your view on the Pride and Prejudice oeuvre?
First off, incredible, perfect film. I love this post. I love this movie. I watch it, every few months or so. You've inspired me to, it's time for another rewatch, clearly. I also think it's, one of my first thoughts when you were mentioning the, like, this is not my Darcy, was the irony of each generation being prejudiced against the previous generations. Darcy.
You're so right. The irony. What about you? What do you have from the archives this month?
So I have a fun post from, I think I reblogged it in 2017. And it is a screenshot of a WikiHow article. I reblogged it from user Ugly. That's just UGLY. You ain't
Incredible
got no alibi.
username.
I know. I'm very jealous of that the user who got that username. Anyway, so it's a screenshot of a WikiHow article captioned "How to act like a mermaid at school," and the screenshot is specifically of tip number 5, which I think is key, and it says, "Act alert around water. If you happen to get a drop of water on you, run away to hide in the bathroom or frantically dry it off. When the class is talking about the ocean, listen intently like you already know these things, but you're looking to point out a mistake. Or to be mysterious, clam up completely." Really hoping
clam up.
I was exactly really hoping that pun was intended.
Absolutely.
God,
that's good.
Yeah. Which, you know, somehow this post reminded me vaguely of the topic of our episode, Riverdale, because I'm, which I, again, didn't finish Riverdale, and we'll get into that momentarily. But for all we know, someone could have become a mermaid in that show. I think it's actually more likely than not.
I agree with that, based off of everything that I know about Riverdale.
With that, should we dive into Riverdale?
I'm scared. I'm excited. I can't wait. Let's go.
Let's head on in. Can't wait to visit. Okay, so can you give us a quick TLDR of your kind of experience level with Riverdale, and also just, you know, how you would describe the show in one sentence for our listeners who may have never heard of it before, and whose lives are about to change so much?
Absolutely. I would love to. Well, first of all, I should say, and I'm curious what your history is with both Riverdale and with the comics, but I was a huge Archie comics reader growing up. Like, I read, like, you know, maybe like a couple of Spider-Man comics, but I didn't really get into sort of like the Marvel DC comics until much later in life. But like, I was a devotee of the Archie comics. Like, I, you know, was spending my allowance money on them. I loved them. And I also was a CW WB devotee. And so, like, you know, there was definitely a time, I would say probably between like 2009 and 2016, when I watched at least the first few episodes of everything that the CW put out. Right? Like, I just had to give it a try. And so when they announced Riverdale, I was like, this is made for me. I cannot wait. And what's more, one of my real life personal friends, Britta Lundeen, who's amazing and is an amazing TV writer and also has fantastic books, was a writer on the first, I think, 2 seasons of Riverdale. And so, you know, I wanted to support her as well. And, you know, it is an adaptation of it is inspired by the Archie comics, right? You've got Archie and Betty and Veronica and Jughead and Reggie and Cheryl and, you know, kind of all of the classic Archie comic people that you are familiar with, and they're in high school, and it's like kind of like a modern gritty Twin Peaksian take on the Archie comics, right? And so the first season opens up with a death of a student, and then it kind of goes from there. And I watched, I think, the first 3 seasons. And then I kind of fell off and now have been consuming Riverdale through my Tumblr dash. And there have been many times through the years when I saw a post and I was like, huh, that's funny. And then I was like, wait a second. is that something that actually happened on the real television show Riverdale? And the answer was always, yes, it did. What about you, Cher? What has your experience with Riverdale been through the years?
I never really read the Archie comics, but have always loved the kind of Archie verse, or like comic universe. Like I grew up, like one of my favorite films, which I have mentioned probably dozens of times at this point in this podcast, because again, it does take up at least 1% to 2% of like my like brain, is Josie and the Pussycats, the 2003 epic.
Also a perfect film.
And I'm also thinking, I'm realizing now I'm saying it came out in 2003. Did it come out? I think it came out in 2001, actually, now that I'm saying it. So the 2001, I'm not going to Google it to be sure.
It's like very millennium
It's
core.
2001. Yes. It's very
it's like
millennium
really
core.
Y2K.
So it's so unbelievably Y2K. Perfectly so. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The 2001 classic film, Josie and the Pussycats, one of the best movies, I would say, of like the early 2000s.
Absolutely.
And now has become a cult classic, underappreciated in its time, incredible. I could talk about that movie alone for so long. So I am going to cut myself off here. But unless anyone has access to a vinyl copy of the soundtrack, I have been trying to find one, and I cannot. But otherwise, I will stop talking about Josie and the Pussycats now. However, my name was almost Veronica.
Oh my God. Oh, I cannot imagine you as a Veronica.
Right? Which is so like, it's so funny. It's so different for my name. And my mom actually like at the end was like, oh, like at the end of the day, like she said she didn't want her daughter named after a comic, which is a very funny thing coming from Josephine, AKA Josie. And also then naming me essentially Cheryl, like, so like right. There, you know, like there's there, you know, like anyway. Same but different. We got there anyway. Exactly. So, you know, at the end of the day, everything is also always Archie. We are all in the Archieverse. We're all part of it. But yeah, so that was, I also watched the Josie and Pussycats cartoon series after that and got really into all of the kind of animated series, which are fantastic as well. And so, yeah, and same as you, see anything the CW did for, you know, from around 2004, 5 until 2016 or 17, honestly, or like even a little longer. I absolutely would have watched. And so I watched, I think I watched Riverdale till season 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly the season when I stopped watching. I'll have to Google when this episode was. I know the episode I stopped watching. And it was a scene where they levitated a baby over a fire.
Yes, I do remember that very well.
Yes. I was like, you know what? I think this is where the end of the road for me. Yeah, I've seen enough for now. And clearly I hadn't seen enough because, I mean, if I thought the show had gone wild from there, that was just the beginning. But yeah, I am even though I stopped watching Riverdale, I am very fond of it. And I kind of love its, I don't know, chaos and its impact, and also have really enjoyed being a outside observer via the people doing, the good work of watching Riverdale and creating the post for us to view out of context.
What is the wildest thing that you've learned about Riverdale that you're pretty sure is true through Tumblr?
The wildest thing, honestly, it doesn't even seem wild compared to everything that I've learned about Riverdale, but the fact that they're like all dead and characters in Jughead's stories. Yeah, and he's just writing these stories and they're acting it out, and they're all like they're dead and now. And I don't know if they're in heaven or purgatory.
I think they're just
or
in the narrative.
Or they're just in the narrative.
I think they're in the narrative.
They're just in the narrative, which is just so unbelievably. I mean, it's wild, but also perfect. Yeah, as well. So yeah, I think that's the thing that kind of I had to sit with for a moment. Also, very lost of them.
So true.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, there's so much. Yeah, I'm still like trying to wrap my head around like what exactly the show is and like what happened in it. Because it goes from being sort of like a high school drama that like maybe is a little bit weird. And I also kind of started watching stopped watching around the floating baby. I know I watched through the
right around the floating baby.
Yeah, right around the floating baby. I know I watched through the Heather's musical episode because they started doing musical episodes pretty consistently. And I know I watched through that one, which I think was like second half of season 3. So I may have watched all of season 3. But I think the wildest thing that I learned ages ago was like I saw a post on Tumblr that was talking about how Archie died because he was sacrificed in the woods and they cut his heart out to do something. And I was like, you know, oh, sure. Like, this is a funny shit post about the things that could happen in Riverdale. And then I like went to the Riverdale Wikipedia page and read the episode summaries. And I was like, they legit cut Archie's heart out in the woods. And like I need to find the original post because like that was like only the one crazy thing about that particular like post.
Yeah.
I mean, just... Which there's a bunch of stuff that I want to reblog to the Dashboard Diaries Tumblr.
Same. I have lots of drafts in there already. Also, I'm realizing as you're saying they cut Archie's heart out. I do feel that I got to that episode. So if that happened after the levitating baby, I think I watched like maybe even near to the end of whatever that season was. Because I do remember I think there was more than one sacrifice. There was a bunker involved, right. And there was like some kind of like thing in the woods. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off. What you said there are so many posts that you wanted to reblog.
And there's two that I just want to read because I think that they are like, I think that they encapsulate this very well. The first is a screenshot of like a Decider article, like sort of showing up in Google search results. And the headline is Riverdale ending explained. Wait, were they dead the whole time? And then like the little like preview of the article is the short version is that thanks to the machinations of an evil sorcerer in season 6, the town of Riverdale was destroyed by a comet. Of and the comment under this, the caption of the screenshot is every single word of this feels like it was pulled out of a bingo machine. Which I just think is really good. And then the other one The other one is from a blogger called Utopians. It's sort of like a 3 reblog series of them reblogging their posts. And their first post is, sorry for posting about how much I enjoy Riverdale. I mean it with utter and absolute sincerity, and it will happen again. And then they reblogged their own post and said, I feel that the fundamental problem people encounter when watching Riverdale is that they're viewing it as a bad adaptation of Archie comics when it is in fact an almost perfect adaptation of Riverdale, a conceptual construct that I would describe as the platonic ideal of the phrase television show. And then they reblog that and say, Riverdale existed within the collective unconscious before it ever moved through the body of Cole Sprouse. Which is like, I think kind of the best way that I can describe my understanding of Riverdale is like, it's not an adaptation of the Archie comics. It's also not a TV show on the CW. It is like the idea of a TV show as hallucinated by a collective hive mind that like spends a lot of time on Tumblr. And then like somehow it was streamed to our televisions. Like
it is like the I don't know, visualization of all the fan fiction that has just ever been written on this website.
Yeah, and like whatever combination of words in the English language you can dream up, like Riverdale put it in their script. What about you? Were there any posts that like jumped out to you as just sort of encapsulating the Riverdale Tumblr experience?
Yeah, there were a few. Well, actually dozens, but I'll just read a couple and we'll reblog the rest. The first one is from user Elainisms. User Elainisms, who said, literally, what other show is ever going to match Riverdale's freak? What other show has serial killer dads and organ harvesting cults and fake gay serial killer half brothers who are married to your real gay serial killer half brothers and gargoyle kings and jingle jangle and over the top musical numbers and Jughead and teenagers getting sent to prison by their girlfriends' mobster fathers and speakeasies run by teenagers under the local diner and beautiful lesbian Cheryl Blossom and serial killer Jeans and the Southside Serpents and gay Kevin. No one will ever top this. And that's like 1/10 of the details about this show.
Yes.
That's like, I was like, did they stop after season 3? Like, there's so much more.
I know, like, I personally saw a lot of that content happen on television. I only watched 3 seasons, and there were, what, 7 seasons? 6 or 7 seasons?
I think 7, yeah.
Oh, my God.
And there's this other post, which I had no idea about, and I'm losing my mind over, and I think just kind of, I don't know, answers so many of Riverdale's unanswered questions, is from a user whose username I'm not going to read because it contains a word that I personally can't say, but we can reblog the post.
Gotcha. Yep.
And there's a text post that says, when I say Riverdale is genius, I mean, when I say Riverdale is genius, I truly mean it, because what other show's creator would perpetuate a 20-year-long revenge scheme over a cease and desist he received for writing a queer play, which included serial killers, of course, about the main character of a decade-old comic series he would later acquire the intellectual property rights to, that ultimately culminates in making every single character from said comic series, no matter how minor, coming out as queer in some capacity, including having the 2 female leads fall in love in the show's final season. None of you understand the true art. None of you understand true art, and it shows.
Wait, is that true?
Yes. I have seen a few posts about this, so I think I need to do some more research on the specifics of this, but I'm pretty positive that this is the answer to the Riverdale origin story. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Right? Lose it. It's perfect. I now need to take a class on Riverdale.
Honestly, like, oh my God. And yeah, I do love that, like, the show was, like, truly so unabashedly queer to the point of having, like, all of the main characters end up in a polycule together at, like, the end of it all, which, like, for me, being my little like bisexual shipper, like 11-year-old reading Archie comics and didn't know either of those things about myself, that I like loved romance and also was bisexual. Like, I had so many feelings about Betty and Veronica and Archie and Jughead, and like, it's just great that the show fixed the love triangle problem with being like, they're all in love. What's your problem, you coward?
Yeah. Why just triangle?
Why, yeah, exactly. Why not make it a square? There is also a chart that I'm going to reblog that is just the Jughead's toxic little polycule ending explained. And it's like, it is truly, it looks like the diagram for the interior of a nuclear fusion reactor. Like, that's the only way that I can describe it.
Fantastic. Perfect. This show contains multitudes. It
really does.
So layered. I am kind of wishing I'd finished it now.
I know. Do we need to watch Riverdale?
I think so. I think we as a society actually all need to finish Riverdale. I saw a post from user Crunchbuttsteak, a very insightful post. Thank you, Crunchbuttsteak, that read the best way to. Nope, this is the wrong user. But this is actually relevant to the conversation we were having earlier. So Crunchbuttsteak, I don't want to sell you short. I will say the best way to experience Riverdale is throughout of context text posts on one's Tumblr dash that just raise more and more questions. But that is not the post that I wanted to mention. The post that I wanted to mention is from Dr. Curdle Jr., who said, I wonder what they have a PhD in. They perhaps Riverdale. Maybe they can teach the class.
Perhaps.
Who said, anybody notice how society fell apart after Riverdale stopped airing?
Aha.
Mm-hmm. And so my question is, was all the universe's chaos going into Riverdale, or the Riverdale of the moment, the teen soap of the moment?
Well, yeah, this is my grand theory of teen shows. Mm-hmm. I have a grand theory of teen shows, which is that exactly what you're saying, which is that at all times there needs to be at least one television show aimed at young adults that is like completely batshit insane. And we've had this for the last 30-ish years, I would say, 25, 30-ish years. I think actually, I think we can go all the way back to Happy Days. Because Happy Days is where the term jump the shark originated from. And if you're not familiar, listener, with the term jump the shark, which you probably are because you spend a lot of time on Tumblr if you're listening to this podcast and you've probably seen people use the term jump the shark. If you had to define jump the shark for our audience, Cher, like how would you do that?
It's when a show makes a complete 180 or takes a complete like left turn into just ridiculous plots. Goes from being but a show where you can kind of see where things are going to just completely bonkers.
Yeah. And that came from the Fonz jumping over a shark in Happy Days while on, I believe, water skis. Was that it?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, and then we had I was never a One Tree Hill viewer. Were you a One Tree Hill viewer?
I was not. I have seen an episode or two. I think it was Chad Michael Murray. That was, I had a poster on my wall from a magazine of Chad Michael Murray, but I did not.
Didn't we all?
Watch One Tree Hill. Yeah, didn't we all? Of course.
Didn't we all?
Yeah.
Well, there's that famous, you've seen the opening sequence from like one episode in a later season of the dog eating the heart transplant. Have you not seen this?
I've not seen that. That is, but I'm realizing is like it's reminding me of Moody's Point from the Amanda Show and the toe.
Oh, I don't think I know that.
Oh my! And the Amanda Show, there's like one of the sketches that they have is a kind of knockoff of like the teen soaps of the time called Moody's Point, like clearly a knockoff of like Dawson's Creek, but also One Tree Hill.
Yeah.
One of the dads like loses his toe, and then a dog eats it, and then I'm pretty sure a dog eats his toe. I think and then the dad gets lost in a hot air balloon without his toe, and that's a big plot point in Moody's Point. So anyway,
that makes a lot of sense.
Perhaps, I have not.
I need you to watch this right now. It's 30 seconds, but it's so good.
In front of the guy who was gonna get the heart.
In front of the guy who was gonna get the heart. I mean, I'll post this on our Tumblr. It is delightful.
Incredible. That is, wow. That's perfect television.
It really is. And so we went to One Tree Hill to, of course, Glee. Like Glee was our generation's, I think, like truly bonkers show. Like, and from episode 1, that show was bonkers.
Yeah. I liked that it started at 100 and only escalated.
Like in the very first episode, a teacher frames a student for weed possession to get him into an a cappella club. Like, it's crazy. And then of course we had Riverdale, which I think perfected the art. But Cher, do we have a bonkers crazy jump the shark teen show on right now?
I have been thinking about it, and I don't think we do. There are so many shows that are good YA shows, but I think what's happening is we had one or two channels like the CW, The End with Degrassi, or that were showing these series, and now there's so many streaming services, and like there's so much content that it's, I guess, harder for that show to hit and get renewed over and over again, because a lot of these shows get canceled really quickly before they get to like their jump the shark territory. Because, I would have loved to see Dead Boy Detectives get there.
Yeah, absolutely. They could have gotten there for sure.
But, there's that whole other conversation about the show and those implications, though the show was fantastic and the cast was fantastic and it not being, but anyway, I digress. But like I was thinking like Heartstopper is lovely. It's beautiful, but it definitely is not bonkers. It's just really lovely. It's just
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Yellow Jackets, which feels a little more, I don't know, adult. Like I know that a lot of like it has YA content. And, I do think a lot of like teenagers watch it. I definitely would have watched it if it was airing when I was a teen. And it is starting to kind of get pretty bonkers. But I also don't think like nothing that quite fits that bill. I think Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which was another like Archieverse show, was going in that direction, was canceled. So yeah, I do think there's a void, and the chaos is escaping from that void.
It's escaping. Because I think Yellow Jackets is such a great example. Because the other show that I was like, that I actually did watch almost every season of, I fell off the last 2 seasons, but then I watched the finale and still like cried through the finale. So like it was still hitting, is Vampire Diaries. And like,
Yes,
I
Vampire
highly
Diaries.
recommend watching, if you were like interested in the like nature of television storytelling and like sort of like scripting and all of that kind of stuff, I highly recommend, like as a student of television, watching at least the pilot of the Vampire Diaries, if not the first season, because when that show came out, like I remember watching the first couple of episodes and being like, this was at a time when I was like deep into my own like sort of self-guided television education, right? It's like I was watching like Twin Peaks and The X-Files, Battlestar Galactica, and like all of this stuff to, you know, kind of get like a grand scope of like genre television. And, you know, it's like we all know how TV shows go usually. And so like, you know, the first couple episodes, I was like, okay, I see where the season's going now, storytelling wise. Like this character is probably gonna die or get turned into a vampire. This character is going to like reveal that they're a vampire to this person. This person is gonna fall in love with that person and break up and actually go with that person. Like you can kind of see you should be able to see like kind of what's gonna come, right? And then they do all of that in the next like 3 episodes. And it's like episode 5. And I'm like, there's 22 episodes in the season. Where the fuck is this going? And I think like crucially, Vampire Diaries was always like that, right? It was always like breakneck speed. It was always just like crazy bonkers stuff happening, like super dramatic, super soapy. But it always stayed within the bounds of its own universe and its own kind of like rules that it established. Versus I think like One Tree Hill, Glee, Riverdale, Degrassi, I think is a great one too. Like the teen soaps where it's just sort of like, you literally can just do whatever you want at any time. Like there's no internal rules. And I think that Yellow Jackets fits more into the Vampire Diaries mold, right? Where it's like, the stuff that's happening on the show is crazy, but like it all kind of makes sense within the crazy universe that we're existing in. Yeah. And like, I think you're right. I think the chaos is escaping. I think that we need like, because the CW is dead. It's like no longer a network that's making television shows for people under the age of 65. We need somebody to make something absurd.
I could not agree more. I think humanity depends on it. Clearly, because what is, you know, it is, I can't think of a time when there hasn't been at least multiple shows, at least a couple like that kind of fit this bill, usually one main one and then a couple kind of offshoots. But yeah, like there's Outer Banks, which I don't know what's happening in Outer Banks. I feel like it's I'm pretty sure it's still airing. And I feel vibe wise, I only watched the first couple episodes of it, but I know how hugely popular it is on Tumblr. It's one of those shows that I vaguely know what's going on because of Tumblr. I think they find treasure. It's a group of like friends who find treasure. And
sounds right.
Definitely more, yeah. But that show could have the potential, but I don't think it has the viewership. You know, a lot of these shows had those, you know, kind of everyone at. Even Riverdale, for a moment there, it felt like everyone was watching Riverdale. Gossip Girl. Iconic, which again, I think that stays more in the staying within its own universe kind of like side of things. And yeah, Vampire Diaries in the end, it is wild because it went bonkers, but still compared to Riverdale, nowhere near. Nowhere near, which is wild because it's still, I'm thinking like now, because Vampire Diaries is a show I finished and it is like someone's a witch, there's another dimension, like, you know, Stefan gets caught in a lake in a safe for like 3 months.
Yeah, that's right.
It's absolutely wild, and that is so normcore in comparison. Not saying Vampire Diaries, like no shade on Vampire Diaries, huge fan. Great soundtrack,
mad respect.
But yeah, mad respect. But yeah, it is so like, where's the chaos going? Who's gonna take on the burden of the chaos?
What would be your like perfect? So yeah, when it comes to teen soaps, like the setting has to be high school, right? Like all of these shows, like they're in high school. And then, like, there's sort of, like, a different hook, right? It's like One Tree Hill was, like, just sort of, you know, slice of life, right? Kind of, like, romance and friendships and, you know, that kind of soap. Glee is, like, okay, it's sort of these misfits in this very specific niche club. And, of course, Riverdale being kind of, like, a murder mystery noir, like, that kind of being the hook initially. Like, what would you like to see in the next chaotic teen show in terms of like a hook or like the thing that like kind of like sets it apart?
Oh, that is such a good question, Lauren. Space. I think it should take place in space.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Space
okay.
Like
I love
it's like
that.
a futuristic kind of vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, because like the 100, I mean, was not in space for more than like the first episode, but like the 100 also got like kind of crazy, but within the rules of its own universe. But like I could totally see a version where like it gets crazy in like a really chaotic way. And like I think that's sort of like futuristic show. That's really fun. I love that idea.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean, like I am sort of curious to see like what the like sports team like Friday night, like what would Friday Night Lights be if it was just like not at all focused on realism and like naturalism. Like I think that could be kind of fun to do, like a, you know, high school basketball team or something. And then like but it's not really about basketball. You know,
Friday Night Lights meets like Teen Wolf. Oh, Teen Wolf. I forgot about Teen Wolf. That was a whole other thing.
Yeah, Teen Wolf got pretty wacky too.
Yeah, that got pretty wild. That also though stayed within the confines of its own universe.
Yes.
Yeah. I do like the sports angle because I think there's a lot that can be done there. It can get, there's a lot of room to get bonkers, both in a, you know, supernatural, like unreal kind of, or, you know, non-realism kind of way, and in a staying within the its own universe. But I don't know, this football team becomes like world champions for some reason at the end of the day kind of way.
Yeah. I think this is like a half-baked theory that I'm sort of forming on the fly, so I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. It's something I've been mulling over like a lot over the last couple of years, the sort of like YouTube Easter egg, like, you know, video reactionification of television, right? There's sort of the fact that like now when a TV show comes out, like everybody kind of has the inclination to like pick it apart and find the plot holes and find the Easter eggs and like all this, you know, like kind of what the MCU sort of, what it hath wrought on media writ large.
Yeah.
And like part of me wonders if there's less of an appetite for the Riverdale approach to storytelling, because like, I don't know. I feel like I occasionally see a post on Tumblr that's, you know, somebody reacting to something wacky in a story, and like not even that wacky, but just something sort of like out of character, out of left field, like not fully jumping the shark, but just something a little bit off, and sort of like the rejection that occurs, like the natural knee jerk rejection that occurs to that because they want everything to make sense, and it's like it doesn't like you, to take a Riverdale example, like Veronica just like owns a speakeasy in like the basement of the diner in town, right? And she's like 16 and she just like runs this speakeasy. And it's like, that makes no sense. Like even if Riverdale were like otherwise like a normal show, like that would make no sense, because how is she getting liquor? How is she owning this business? Like, but that doesn't matter. Like it just doesn't matter at all. But I wonder if like younger people now like need things to make sense. This is just like a vague instinct I have. I don't know if I'm totally off base here.
No, I think that you're definitely going like in the right direction. I think that makes a lot of sense. And the more you're saying it, the more it was kind of clicking. And yeah, because I think there is something to be said for the importance of shows that exist within a universe that kind of, it's a TV universe, and that universe has like rules that can kind of just be made up on the fly, and can, you know, go like the like sitcom logic or, you know, soap opera logic. You know, it's your, you know, long lost triplet who is in a coma. Like I love, you know, that the space that these shows get to go that wild, and it's so, I don't know, it is so much fun. But I think now, as you said, with so much discussion happening, it really kind of cuts off the nonsensical nature at the knees, because so much of the engagement around the show is the discussion. I like, there's like at the end of like, there was I would say something, I mean, a few things in the season of Yellow Jackets, but some jump the sharky things that happened. And I definitely am very, you know, was on reading all the reactions online, and a lot of them were like, this absolutely makes no sense. I started seeing posts being like, this show has started to make no sense. I wouldn't be mad if they canceled it after season 3. Like that level of like, it makes no sense to just stop. Whereas, a lot of the other comments were like, the writers know where this is going. Like, trust them to know where this is going. And some other ones saying like, just come along for the ride, which I very much like. I think you're right. There's perhaps less people just along for the ride, like, and much more like, how is this, like the comfort of being able to vaguely predict where the show is going to end up. Like with like Yellow Jackets, like, again, I think is a good example. Like you've known since season 1, like they writers have always said that it's going to be a 5-season. They pitched a 5-season arc, and they planned a 5-season arc, and so all of the discussions around the series have been, saying, oh, okay, well, we think in, this season we're probably going to get, the rescue, because that's how it would time out with the amount of time they spent in the wilderness. And then, I think it's going to end, in this way, because that's like how they're breadcrumbing it. And so imagine trying to do that with Riverdale. There's no, imagine
Impossible.
Season 1, Episode 1. Imagine showing someone Season 1, Episode 1 of Riverdale and saying, how do you think this show ends? And then telling that person, and then showing that person the final episode. Which also, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do that. Watch the first and last episode of Riverdale.
That's actually a great idea.
I love this. And then we could, start next episode. We could do a little segment about it.
Okay.
Yeah. And listeners, also, highly, if you want to join us in watching the first and last episodes of Riverdale and sending us your thoughts, we would love we'd love to read them.
Yes, please.
Oh, one other note. Did you see that there was apparently a Supernatural and Riverdale crossover planned? There was a script.
No, I did not know that.
I just saw a post, which I did save, reblog to the Dashboard Diaries, that was essentially like, I have a vendetta against the person who did not greenlight the Riverdale Supernatural crossover script.
Can you imagine? Also, like,
release the script.
Supernatural exists in like a really funny little in-between space where it's like it also goes completely bonkers and has, the episode where like Sam and Dean end up in an alternate universe where they're actually Jared and Jensen filming Supernatural. Like there's all this meta commentary on it and stuff, but like at the same time, it is still doing the Vampire Diaries thing of somehow still existing within its own universe at all times. Yeah. Like it's like Schrodinger's chaos, right? It's like both like extremely chaotic at all times, but like never fully jumping the shark.
Schrodinger's chaos is an incredible phrase. I love that so much. I want that on like a shirt.
Yes. There's one final post that I want to share.
Yes.
Which is from Porcelain Doll Cheryl, just because I think that this Tumblr user really has pictured a beautiful future for us as humanity, which they write. The world should be ready for midnight Riverdale screenings. It needs to enter the cult mainstream. We as a society should do everything in our power to run like Riverdale marathons at your local falling apart movie theater hosted by drag queen Cheryl Blossom with like themed skits and commentary from various drag performers. Themed blue drinks, maple flavored, whatever. It should be an event. Step aside the room, the Rocky Horror, whatever else. You haven't seen anything till you've seen the 8-hour Riverdale season 3 supercut with commentary from drag king Archie, drag queen Cheryl, and straight Kevin, drunk on maple rum, and then they bring out the Gargoyle King puppet. And
take all my money.
That's what we need. We need Riverdale cult screenings at local movie theaters and drive-ins. Like that needs to happen so badly.
And perhaps that could fill the void of this like chaos void that has been created if, people are supporting their local Riverdale.
Yes.
Creating lots of local Riverdales.
I think this is what we need.
Yeah. Could not agree more. And with that, Lauren, what has you in your feels at the moment?
I mean, so much. I'm gonna run through two things very quickly, which is just because they're both incredibly spoilery, and so I don't want to talk about them in detail. But The Last of Us, it's currently Monday as we record this. The episode 2 of Last of Us season 2 aired last night, and even though I played the video game and I knew it was coming, I am overwhelmed. And then last week, 911 aired. And a bonkers thing happened on 911 that I'm sure we will talk about at some point. But I don't want to talk about it because it is very fresh and extremely spoilery. But I also did cry through that episode. In the trifecta of things that I've cried to, The Pit finished 2 weeks ago. We've now experienced a season of The Pit. And it's I think one of the best television shows I've ever seen in my life. Like, I mean that so sincerely. I've seen a lot of TV. Like, I really think that it was an extraordinary, 15 hours of television. I am already hungry for the next season, which is going to be coming out in January, because these are people who know how to make TV. And so they've already started working on the second season because they know what they're doing. And it's just been really great. Like, as everybody who listens to the show knows, as you know, I've been watching The Pit since week 1 and have been running a campaign to get every single person in my life to watch The Pit. I'm happy to say that I have completed that campaign, and every single person I know is watching The Pit, with the exception of my doctor friend who won't, for good reason. Not because it's inaccurate, but because it's too accurate. But then also it's just been really wonderful to see my Tumblr dash slowly get consumed by The Pit. It's just been, I don't know that the last time that I was an early adopter to something that then Tumblr wholeheartedly embraced. I don't know that it's trended on Tumblr yet, so there's still a ways to go. But
it has. Actually.
It has?
Oh my God. It into fandom the last week of March.
Incredible. Well, and I know, Cher, you're also a Pit watcher, so what has you in your feels right now?
The Pit.
Yeah.
100%. I am already planning my rewatch after I finish my rewatch of ER.
Hell yeah.
On season 5.
I'm also on season 5.
Oh my gosh.
But for my first time.
Perfect. I didn't realize that this was a rewatch because I have very poor memory, and I think I watched it during COVID in a very short amount of time. So I keep being like, does this person have a baby soon? And they're like, okay, I'm pregnant. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know this. So it also feels like that I have no idea what is gonna happen. Also, wait, actually, because a couple times you have mentioned when watching The Pit that you're kind of glad that The Pit is not a follow-up of ER because you don't know if you could handle what happened to Benton. And I don't think I'm there yet, clearly. Are you there yet? Because do you know what happens to Benton, or are you just there yet? Because you're on season 5.
Yes. No, sorry. I meant okay, so you've seen all of The Pit now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I meant I was happy that it wasn't a follow-up because then canonically Dr. Robbie's mentor who died would have been Peter Benton.
Okay.
Yes.
I have been
as far as I know, nothing happens to Peter in the actual show.
No. I have been watching ER, waiting for the other shoe to drop, terrified for Benton's life, for being how far in is Lauren? Is it going to happen soon? What happens to Benton? Oh my God, he has a baby now? What happens to Benton?
I'm so sorry that I explained that so poorly initially.
Oh my God, every time he gets in a car, I'm like, Benton, drive safely. I mean, never mind. That makes so much sense. No, because in my mind I was like, well, if it was a follow-up from ER, they would not have that happen to him because they would never do that to Benton. So
right. I mean, just the fact that if it had been an ER follow-up, then yes, then I think that the mentor who died in COVID would have been Peter canonically. Right. Yeah. And I would not have been able to take that because Peter is, I think Peter's one of my favorite characters from a TV show in a long time. All the characters in ER are great, but Peter's just so complex. That actor is so great. I don't know why. I've never really seen him in anything else since or before. But I have to imagine that he just did 900 seasons on ER and was like, I'm good.
Nice. Yeah.
Just
happy for him. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's so good. And oh my God, no, I'm so sorry that I scared you that. As far as I know, nothing happens to Peter and nothing ever will.
He's actually safe forever in the narrative.
He's safe forever. Yes, exactly.
He has narrative. He has plot armor. He's good.
Exactly.
In my headcanon of the Pit as an ER spinoff, they just wouldn't have done that as a plot line. I didn't even
love that.
I didn't even couldn't even fathom the possibility of them doing that. So yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, no, like for sure what happens to him. And I was like, that makes so much sense. Wow, I'm gonna watch ER with a smile on my face, even though I do know, like, I joined the subreddit, and that was a mistake because I have been spoiled for so many like things that happen way later in the show. It does, yeah. It jumps the shark around season, like, I mean, 11 starts to really go well, but season 13 apparently is where things really get extra bonkers, which I'm kind of excited for. But yeah, I keep going and searching the name of a character to see what people say about them, and without realizing, this character has multiple seasons. You're going to find out things. But anyway, yeah. Well, what has me in my feels is I'm so glad that Benton is safe and happy and just living a beautiful life in the narrative.
I mean, I have to assume. I have 10 more seasons of ER to go, but I have to assume he's fine.
Listeners, I really hope listeners who know right now aren't
being like, oh my God, these poor people.
No. Yeah. If they only knew. No.
He's fine.
No,
he's fine.
He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. And also, Dr. Odyssey kind of has me in my feels, and I think goes with the kind of type, like, falls in the same bucket of the shows that we've been talking about, where it just started bonkers. And I do fear for its future. Do you, like, I don't know. I said 7 thoughts in half a sentence. What are your thoughts on the Dr. Odyssey, not finale, like penultimate episode? Where are we at the moment? Do you know how far in we are in the season?
I'm 1 episode behind because it's Monday now. It came out on Thursday night. I watched 911 Friday, and then I had a family visiting over the weekend, and so I haven't had a chance to watch anything else. But I'll probably put it on this afternoon as I like do emails and stuff. It has not been renewed yet, right? The show?
Yeah, it has not.
Yeah, I'm scared because like the vibes between the 3 of them continue to be impeccable, and I just like I need them all to just like commit to the bit. It's like I need them to commit to each other in a little throuple, and then if the show doesn't get renewed, I'll be fine.
Yeah, as long as they can end on that note, a throuple sailing the world in the love boat.
In the love boat. Then I'll be then we will be thankful for the season of Dr. Odyssey that we had.
And thankful for the fic that hopefully will be written that could tell us what could have been.
Exactly. This doesn't really have me in my feels, but actually just in terms of like in terms of like bonkers things that happened last week on television. Do you watch Mythic Quest? Have you watched Mythic Quest? Will you watch Mythic Quest?
I have, yes. I've watched like the first couple episodes of season 4, but I'm not fully caught up on the most recent season, but I've seen most of the show.
Okay. I don't want to spoil anything for you for the end of season 4, but I will say, so because if you do watch it, actually, you should know this going into it, because Apple pulled like a truly crazy thing. Okay, so the show finished airing its 4th season maybe like a month ago. It was like end of March, I think. And then 2 weeks ago, it was announced that the show was not going to be renewed. So season 4 is the last. It had already ended. One of those situations where you don't realize that the season finale you just watched was actually the series finale.
Yeah.
A big thing happened in the last 30 seconds of the season finale. And it was something that like very much clearly was like, okay, this is what we're going to be like. This is the cliffhanger into season 5. Didn't get renewed. Cher, when you finish the season, you will not see that cliffhanger. So Apple released last week an updated version of the season finale. And I had like a big reaction to what happened at the end of the season in like a very positive way. Like I enjoyed the choices that they made. And so I'm like, oh, I wonder if it's like an extended scene. Like I wonder if it's going to like give us a little hint of like where things kind of would have gone from here. Like, sort of like not giving us a full bridge from the cliffhanger, but maybe pulling us back up from it, right? No, they just removed the last 45 seconds of the episode and threw in a new one that they'd clearly shot at the same time, just in case they weren't going to pull the ripcord on it. And you can still see the original ending on YouTube. But like, it's so crazy to me that now that anybody who watches this show for the first time, just like burns through the 4 seasons, will have no idea that this huge thing happened. It's crazy. I've never heard of a show doing this before.
That is wild.
It's nuts.
I've also never that is such an age of streaming solution to a show being canceled. Just being like, oh yeah, we'll just change the ending and
we'll just change the last 45 seconds and it'll be fine.
Yeah. Wow. And that also is just going to create a such an interesting, like as you said, like dichotomy between the people who are like who've been watching the show and watched the finale with it and didn't. And when people discuss it, some people will be very confused. That is wild.
Isn't that crazy? It's like creating like a Bernstein Bear problem, right?
Yes.
Like absolutely wild shit. And so if you do finish season 4, like I want to hear about it because I was there when like I saw the original ending and I have so many feelings about it and nobody to talk to about it. And I also just like want to know your
Well, I also want to find that. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I cut you off when you were saying.
No. If you finish, I want to talk to you about it.
I'm definitely going to finish it, and then I am going to try and find the alternative ending. It's got to be somewhere.
It has to be somewhere. And if push comes to shove, somebody did GIF it, on Tumblr. A couple people gift it, so it's like it exists in GIF form on Tumblr. But like, wow. I mean, just a testament to like how important like fandom culture is, right? Like, literally like lost media. Like archivists at this point, because like as far as I know, like it's not available as like a bonus clip or an alternative ending or anything on Apple as far as I can tell. Which also like for a show about video games, like they should have just made like a little interactive thing around like choosing your own ending. But
exactly,
I digress.
There's so many better ways to approach that kind of sudden cancellation and change. I so agree that like choose your own adventure kind of ending
could have been so fun.
Yeah. And I mean, it does make me think about, and like something that I am often concerned about is like the kind of Library of Alexandria level of content that is on, websites like Tumblr and AO3 and, and like Wattpad and just kind of all over that, sometimes, and of course all the streaming as well, but there's just so much content that if it gets wiped from a server, or if, there's like you own things on a streaming service that can be changed. You don't have the physical copy anymore. What's going to happen if, someone just decides, oh, this album is gone, which happens all the time, like there'll be a song on Spotify or something that you get really into, and then the artist is like, I'm going to remove that song from Spotify, and the song's just gone. It is really, I think brings up like a larger, conversation, or not larger conversation. Yeah. Just like a larger, there's a word I'm looking for, but I can't find it. Like a larger concern. Word I'm looking for. A larger concern. Thank you. I really got to pull out those SAT vocab flashcards again. Anyway, it operates within a larger framework of the internet, of the World Wide Web. That
it does.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah, it is. Like it makes me. I'm like, how much can I download onto my hard drive?
Right. And like all I could think, sort of watching the updated finale last week, was like Apple's lucky that like they pulled this for like a show that like didn't have like amazing viewership numbers, and also like had a sort of viewership that was like not a rabid like fan base necessarily. Because like if they had pulled this shit for like something like I could see so many other fandoms where it's like this would cause like a full meltdown.
Yeah,
like wild shit. Yeah,
it is so like. Imagine. Well, Game of Thrones, the ending was a whole. Maybe they should have. Game of Thrones is one of those where people said, "Hey, just shoot another ending. We'll pretend it didn't happen. Yeah, we'll look the other way. Just do it." They kind of should. That is one show where I'm actually, because I was going to say, oh, imagine if they did that with Game of Thrones. I'm almost interested to see if this sets a precedent with other series that get canceled and kind of or changed. And we have heard, about changes happening in streaming, like, oh, this scene was taken out of this show or switched in. It happens quite a bit, I would say. But I think it's also something that people don't really talk about, and it is a brand new thing.
And this cliffhanger was quite divisive. Like, a lot of people really didn't like it. So I wonder how much that also played into it as well. Like, not just sort of giving, like, a non-cliffhanger ending, but also, like, oh, never mind, that thing that we did that you didn't like, we didn't do it. You know? So, like, to your Game of Thrones point, like, if the fandom reaction's really bad. Yeah, I think probably... Like, again, it's like 30 seconds, right? Like, so it's like, it was very easy for them to, like, film multiple endings on set that day or whatever. But like, yeah, I am kind of, and like, I'm grateful that, like, I'm always grateful anytime a show is kind of on the bubble and it knows it and it's able to sort of, like, film something that would give it, like, a nice little bow just in case. But, like, maybe then, like, wait, or I don't know, like to show one version and then, anyway, I didn't mean to go on a whole thing about it, but it was interesting, and I'm very curious to hear your thoughts once you've watched it.
It also, as you said, like, they did it so quickly.
Yeah, so
afterwards.
Quickly.
Yeah. I think there was definitely a better way to approach that, especially for the fans. If it's a smaller fan base, I think they would appreciate, like, there would be less backlash if you gave them more versus just taking it away. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Maybe. Anyway, I was gonna ask you if I can guess how it ends.
I mean, yeah. Do you want me to confirm or deny, or just say stone-faced?
You can confirm or deny.
Okay.
I like a spoiler.
Okay.
So does it end with, and I'm horrible with the characters' names of these characters that I've watched 4 seasons of. The two are our 2 main programmers getting fired and going off to start their own thing.
Ian and Poppy, no.
Huh, okay.
No.
Does it end with them getting together? Okay. Yes.
Well, I mean, do you want spoilers?
No, I'll watch it. Okay.
Well, also, like, in terms of, like, the version that exists versus the version that maybe is archived.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, if it's a shipping thing that was changed, I mean, I think that just throws a whole other, like, wrench in the gear, anchor in the water, whatever.
This is what I'm saying, is, like, if it had happened in another fandom, a bigger fandom, I think that shit would be wild.
Like, if it had happened in, say, Supernatural with a key scene.
Exactly. God, can you imagine? Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I think that would have actually broken some websites. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
There are people on the internet convinced that they filmed that scene for Supernatural and it just didn't air. And it's like, no, I don't think that happened. It's nice to imagine, but no.
Yeah. It's somewhere like on a VHS, hidden in, like, a box on a lot somewhere.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, the Supernatural, like, hidden alternative scenes would be just release the tapes. Release
the tapes.
Release the tapes.
The truth.
Yeah. It's time. The world needs to know. And with that, I'm Cher McAnelly, and you can find me at overshares.tumblr.com.
I'm Lauren Shippen, and you can find me at thelaurenShippen.tumblr.com.
This has been Dashboard Diaries, and
may your anons always be loving,
your dash always refreshed,
your gifts always be loading,
and your ships always canon.
May the fixer reading always be finished,
and the answers you seek always in the reblogs.
Thanks for scrolling with us.